So, today I'm going to be talking about a topic that is very close to my heart, which is nutrition beyond numbers. And this is for you if you are somebody who went on your first diet before you were like 15 years old. You might have done something like Weight Watchers or South Beach diet or different kinds of diets with your mom or just as a kid. And especially this is for you if you have downloaded and undownloaded and had this love-hate relationship with any sort of tracking app, whether that is MyFitnessPal, Lose It, Noom, whatever. And you've basically spent your whole adult life and maybe more of your life dieting or looking at nutrition as calories. Because a mistake that I even made as a coach in the past, and a mistake that I see a lot of coaches in this industry making, and a lot of the diet industry as a whole, calories in, calories out, calories in, calories out, eat less, move more, eat less, move more. And there are aspects to that that are absolutely true. And the governing principles of energy balance, that is the case. However, everything that goes into the equation of calories in versus calories out is so much more than numbers. And what I found is that the fixation on numbers with our diet really impedes our ability to, honestly, do anything productive. Because if we go over our calories, then F it, right? I'll just eat everything I want and I'll start over tomorrow with restriction. And looking at nutrition as solely numbers is a problem because, yes, food is fuel. And we do want to make the shift to look at food as fuel more often than we don't. That is something that I am passionate about. However, we cannot ignore the fact that food is more than just fuel. It is also celebratory. It is social. It is cultural. It is a way that people bond. It is emotional. There are emotions tied to food. There are memories tied to food. Food means something to us in this day and age and in this society, and we need to accept that as a part of the journey. And it's not just numbers, fuel, right? And so in this episode, I'm just going to explain a couple of ways that you can look at food beyond numerical values of this is how much sugar is in this, and this is how much carbs is in this, and actually make decisions around food that are aligned with your goals and your values, but also strip the numbers away and allow you a little bit more freedom and flexibility to feel balanced with your nutrition. Because depending on where you're at, depending on what your journey is, you may or may not need to track calories. And I actually just did a series that walks you through exactly how I'd coach you. And we kind of walk through that whole thought process of, do I need to track calories right now, or do I need to tackle some more low-hanging fruit? And so if you are always fixated on that's how many calories that is, that's too many calories, and just constantly restricting, and you don't know how to look at nutrition another way, that could be one of the main things that is honestly holding you back from reaching whatever fat loss goal that you have. Because if you don't have another lens on it, then you're never going to be able to maintain after fat loss. Like, yes, a knowledge of caloric intake is very important for the dieting phase, but to live your life and to actually sustain this without all that mental energy long term, you're going to need a lot more than just, this is 250 calories for a serving. So that's what I'm going to touch base on here in this episode today. So what else is food other than just numbers and calories? Well, food can be something that makes our body feel a certain type of way. I had a really horrible experience with this. Recently, I got a stomach bug and a fever a couple weeks ago, and it ruined my stomach. And I was very sensitive to foods that were normally delicious to me, like bagels and eggs. And basically, I just didn't want meat, period. And I would experiment with, what can I eat today that doesn't upset my stomach? And for a while, it was reduced down to just saltine crackers and fruit. And that was it. And it was miserable. And when I started reintroducing foods back into my diet, I really wanted to focus in on the foods that made my digestion feel as good as possible. And so I wasn't looking at food as how do I get my calories in, although I did need to get more calories in at that time because I had not eaten for like 48 hours other than saltines. But with that being said, I had to look at food from the lens of how does this sit in my stomach? Does it give me immense stomach pain after I eat? Or does it actually settle my stomach? And so I started making some swaps during my day as I reintroduced food and my stomach got more and more settled. But I didn't go back to a lot of the things that I was eating. So for one example, I was having a Ninja Creamy every night before bed uh, as one of my desserts for a while. And then when I got the stomach bug, like just the dairy and the protein powder in the Ninja Creamy like was really messing with me. So I swapped it for a yogurt bowl with some fruit and some peanut butter. And that settled in my stomach really, really well and actually ended up helping me sleep better and have more even energy through the rest of the night. And that would have been a really hard decision for me to make if I was just trying to make the most from my calories in terms of volume, because the Ninja Creamy is a whole pint of ice cream. It's super chocolatey. It's delicious. I can mix Oreos into it. Like, so good. But was it the best for how my body was going to feel that day and the next day? And the answer was no. And so I made a choice in alignment with that. And ultimately, the calories themselves, they could line up, they could be the same, they could be different, but what mattered to me and my ability to wake up and feel good in my skin the next day was how my body felt after I ate it. In addition, what food can also be looked at is energy and how does the food actually make our body feel. So you might find that after you eat certain kinds of foods that you get like really sleepy. And if you get really sleepy when you eat certain things versus energized and feeling like you have lasting sustained energy from your meals, or you eat something and 2 hours later you're starving again, is that really going to benefit you and your lifestyle and the way that you want to function? The answer is probably not, right? And so thinking about food sources in a sense of how do I actually function after I eat this? And we use a concept called body food choice congruence with our clients to help them reflect on how the food that they're eating makes them feel and how they want to feel in the future. And would they repeat things in the past, or would they want to change the habits that they have with food in accordance to how they feel? Because I think one thing that a lot of people lack is just mindfulness as a whole as to not only does food just taste good, but how does it actually impact us? And when we start to break that down and realize how does food actually impact us, it can really make a huge difference in just the overall energy that we have, the mental clarity that we have, the stamina that we have throughout the day, the productivity that we feel. And a lot of times we're like, oh my God, I have so much going on. There's no way I could prioritize nutrition and fitness right now. When in reality, if we just fueled our body with things that actually served us, we might have more energy, more headspace, more focus from the food that we're eating. We don't realize how much of an impact that can make. And lastly, hunger signals. So many of us have conditioned ourselves to eat well beyond our hunger signals in our day-to-day. And I am one of those people where I wasn't like forced to finish my plate. I just wanted to. I just always wanted to finish my plate because I love food. I love food as a kid. I love it now. And I love to eat. Like, it's just a part of my life. I love eating. However, that got me into a tricky place where I have kind of like a zone of like I can be like 80% full for a while. I can keep eating for a while. And then later it'll hit me and I'll be like, wow, that was way too much. Specifically, all you can eat, Korean barbecue, all you can eat sushi, anything like that. I have trained myself. And like as a kid, we'd go to Chinese buffets and I'd go through like 3-4 plates because that was just like the game that you played with yourself and with the family. And yeah, it trains you out of stopping when you're full. And if you have that skill naturally, be very, very grateful because this is something that a lot of people struggle with and have to intentionally work on. So, with that being said, learning to listen to those hunger and fullness signals can drastically impact your, for example, caloric intake if you just learn to stop when you're actually full and when you're going to be comfortably full, not stuffed. And that's hard when you've spent your whole life just eating until you feel stuffed or sick or when your plate is full. And you have to learn how to cue yourself rather than relying on external cues like an empty plate or approval from others to stop eating. And so that's another strategy beyond numbers that is incredibly difficult, but can be a skill that allows you to maintain your weight loss for a very long time without having to track a dang thing because you just know when to stop. It's huge. And then lastly, how food plays all these different roles in our life, emotional, stress eating, boredom eating, social eating, cultural foods. It's so much more than numbers. And when we can understand that maybe we can't get rid of it, right? Like if we were to say, I know someone that lives like 3 minutes from their parents cook them a couple meals per week. To live a sustainable lifestyle, that person's probably not going to want to cut out going to their parents' place to eat for free meals, delicious meals, right? But how can you work that in with the other skills that maybe you can't track the meal because it's foreign food that doesn't make sense in number form? But how can you employ these other skills to manage your overall fullness, caloric intake as a whole? You might not know the calories, but you'll know that you're eating less if you don't eat till you're stuffed, right? And that can keep you on track. And so just accepting that those things, like accepting that sometimes you might actually want to turn to food as an emotional coping mechanism. Now, if it's all the time, that's something we should address and something we should change. But if it's, celebratory meal and you want to indulge in something because you're celebrating something and it happens once in a blue moon, that's amazing. And you should do that. But understanding how to navigate those situations without feeling guilty, without saying, screw it, now I'm just going to eat everything because I ruined my progress. Or how to get away from emotional or stress eating if that's a problem for you. Those are all skills and tactics beyond numbers that we coach our clients on that help them be more consistent as a whole without having to track a dang thing. So lots and lots of examples. I've got trainings on every single thing that I mentioned. So if anything stands out to you and you're like, I need to know how to do that, just send me a message and I would happily be sending that your way because we are very generous with our resources here and just making sure that you are equipped with the information that you need to be successful. But if you're somebody who's always looked at nutrition as numbers, I encourage you to take a different lens, try these things out, and just make a more well-rounded perspective. I think you'll be a lot happier as a whole, more balanced, and be able to maintain your progress much, much easier. So if this was helpful for you, let me know. Thank you again for your attention, and I'll see you back here next week.